I don't even know why it does that. All right. A little bit of an emergency pod here because we're gonna break down. We're gonna break down last week 3 in the NFL. So let's go ahead and just get this thing started. Welcome to the Too Much to Say podcast, where we have Too Much to Say, episode 25.5, NFL Power Rankings, week 3. This is going to be a quick one. I just want to hop in. I put together the weekly power rankings. Didn't get them ready for last night, so wanted to come back, get them out into the world. So we're just going to break them down, and then I'll get them put out on Twitter. So let's go ahead and hop in at the bottom. Number 32, we have the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals lost this week to the Chicago Bears 14-16. I don't know if this is, I think this is more of an indictment of Mitch Trubisky by how close this score was, because the Arizona Cardinals are dead. They're moribund. They are a zombie walking. Sam Bradford has got to go. I know that he finally did, but hopefully he'll stay gone and we can see what Josh Rosen can actually do in this offense. Start building around someone who has a shot to be a real quarterback in the NFL. All right, number 31. The Oakland Raiders. Jay Gruden's Oakland Raiders, which remains one of the most baffling decisions. I'm going to be honest, I'd love to shit on them right now, but I just feel bad for Raiders fans. You guys had Al Davis. Your team's getting taken away from you. And now you get Mark Davis, who hires John Gruden, who had won basically won a Super Bowl thanks to Tony Dungy in Tampa Bay, and you have him for the next 10 years at $100 million. I mean, that's not the type of money you can shake. That's the type of money that stays like around. That is physically painful. So I just pity you. Number 30. Another franchise that is just a zombie. I have no Jerry Jones. It's just Jerry Jones is a joke. Keeping Jason Garrett around makes absolutely no sense. What does he do? What's the point? Poor Dak Prescott. I know people are now trying to doubt him, and I'm not going to say that he's Aaron Rodgers, but the man runs around like his hair's on fire because the offensive line can't do anything. They have no wide receivers. All they have is Ezekiel Elliott. He's a running back. He needs an offensive line. It really is just a pathetic situation. I feel bad for Dak Prescott. I feel bad that he's getting all this hate, that he's getting all the blame for something that's not even. I mean, maybe it's 20% his fault. Yeah, he could play better, but who's he throwing to? Like Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh doesn't really have an offensive line, but he has Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster and Connor, who's not a bad running back. He had Le'Veon Bell. Like, he had options that somebody throw it to. Other people who were a threat, but all Dak Prescott has is Ezekiel Elliott, a shitty coach, and nobody, like an owner who has no clue what he's doing, who thinks he's a GM. And there's no way. I mean, I guess if you're a Dallas fan, you're just hoping that God takes Jerry Jones, because there's no scenario where he's selling the team, but he has no clue what he's doing. Like I said, Dallas is another one. I just feel bad for you guys. All right, number 29, we have the Houston Texans. They got beat by the New York Giants this past week, 22-27. Eli got whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and they looked like an offense that actually had one of the best wide receivers and one of the best running backs in the NFL. Eli's look like shit. There's no and this is with J.J. Watt getting 3 sacks. His first sacks of the season. He got 3 sacks against Eli. And Eli still, I think he was 22 for 29. Houston's a train wreck. And it really starts up at that upper offensive line. Like, Deshaun Watson doesn't look great, but he's coming back from an injury. B, he's being chased around like a madman. I mean, they have weapons. They need a running back, but they have, Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins, two just, elite wide receivers. They need something. It's rough. I want to have them higher. I mean, they were 20. I had them at number 26 last week, and it just can't be done. All right, number 28, the Detroit Lions. Now I know that they beat the Patriots, but they're not moving up. I think they moved up 2 slots? Yeah. They were number 20 they were 30 last week. I'm just honestly, it felt like just one of those games. It felt like New England looking bad. Their defense looks horrible. Their offense doesn't look great. And I get it that Matt Patricia knew to double Rob Gronkowski. Congratulations. That's all they have. And you guys have one good cornerback, so you could cover their one good receiving option. Congratulations to the Detroit Lions for winning this game, but I'm still not convinced. Number 27, the San Francisco 49ers, who took quite a tumble. They were ranked number 22 last week. And actually, they only lost by 11 points to Kansas City, which isn't that bad, but they lost their starting quarterback. He's out for the season. Jimmy Garoppolo has a torn ACL. This is more of a projection of where you're going than just a single performance. And that's how you get Detroit still at number 28, and New England will be much higher. Detroit isn't going anywhere. And neither is San Francisco. It really is. I just feel bad for him for losing Garoppolo. You pay all that money, and then he just gets injured. R.I.P. Number 26, the New York Football Giants. Mind you, they played Houston, who looks dead, but it was good to see, like I said, the signs of life from Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham Jr. This team still has the potential to go off on an offensive end. If Eli cannot be horrible, Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham Jr. are two of the best weapons in the NFL. Who are they? He's up there with. Easily up there with Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. They're worth mentioning in that same breath. Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, elite running back, elite wide receiver. So definitely a shot to be great. They just need Eli to get his act together like he was able to do against the Houston Texans. Number 25, the New York Jets. A little bit of regression. This only the Jets could give the Cleveland Browns their first win. It was just fitting that this is the franchise that gave up that win. But I mean, at the end of the day, they lost 17-21 on a Thursday night game. Sam Darnold looks like he's got a ways to go still. It doesn't help that it was a Thursday night game. It doesn't help that Baker Mayfield came up and showed him up and ended up pulling out this win. Thank heavens Cleveland is finally committed to Baker Mayfield instead of Tyrod Taylor, who's just been a zombie. I mean, newsflash, guys, he wasn't good in Buffalo. No one's been good in Buffalo. Not for the last, Buffalo has not been good in Buffalo for the last, 10 years. Which leads us to our next team, number 24, the Buffalo Bills. They had our biggest jump in the polls this week because they absolutely just crushed Minnesota. And this is more of just, I like the situation. I like what I saw from the much maligned Josh Allen. Nathan Peterman, I hope they release you so you can go play for a high school team. You have been just horrible through the first two games. They they bring in Josh Allen, and he does, 27-6 against the Minnesota Vikings. 27-6. Very impressive. I like him here at number 24. Number 23, the Indianapolis Colts, who lost to Philadelphia 16-20 this week. I actually like what I see from Indianapolis. I don't think they moved. Let's see if they moved. Actually, I haven't moved down, but I think they're trending upwards. Philly's not a bad team to lose against, and I could easily have them up two spots higher. I like what I see from Andrew Luck, even though his arm's a noodle and he can't throw the bomb. They had to bring in Jacoby Brissett, but his decision making, his dink and dunk passing is fantastic, and they have T.Y. Hilton and a bunch of scraps. So I like what I see from Andrew Luck. I think this team can actually do some damage in the weak AFC South. The AFC South. You can. We have Houston. The AFC South is one of our. Is by far one of the weakest. If not, it's got to be the weakest division. They have the Jaguars, Titans, and the Jaguars look good, but we just saw that bloodbath this last week. I like them to do some damage in this. I like them to do some damage in this division this year. I think they have a chance. We're gonna get to see them against the Texans next week. That should be a W. It's gonna come down basically to what they can do against the Titans, and we're not gonna see that until November 18th. But if they can take both of the games against the Titans, they have a really good shot. They would come in second. Number 22, the Washington Redskins. This team was able to pull out a win against a pretty convincing win against Green Bay. But this team is just bad. I feel like this is, again, more of Green Bay looking lost than of Washington doing a great job. They brought in Alex Smith, and he has no one to throw it to. They're using an ancient Adrian Peterson. They have no new running back. They just have an old Adrian Peterson and Jamison Crowder. It's a sad bunch for Alex Smith. I feel bad for him making his way to Washington, where he previously he was in Kansas City throwing to Tyreek Hill and having Kareem Hunt. I mean, Travis Kelce, all these weapons, and now he's in Washington. I mean, he's getting that paycheck, so how bad can you feel for the man? But it's going to be a frustrating season for him. All right, number 21, we have the Seattle Seahawks. They're not good, but they have performed better than everyone beneath them. I think Indianapolis will probably be better than them. I don't see Seattle doing pretty much anything. But they are definitely. I mean, they're a low middle tier team. They're lucky they have Earl Thomas. They should. I'm not really sure the purpose. I mean, I guess if you're in the NFL, it doesn't drafting number one. You kind of want to be number 1, 2, or it doesn't matter. So I guess they're not going to be the worst team. They're not going to be Arizona, or Oakland. They're not going to be a lot of the teams beneath them. So they might as well just try to win some games. But either that or they should cut bait on Earl Thomas and try to scrap together, put together some assets and try to do better next year. This season's, I mean, it's not going to go well. I mean, Doug Baldwin's out. Russell Wilson's just running around for his life. Get an offensive line together. Get a running back, and let's try again next year, boys. Number 20, the Philadelphia Eagles. I know a lot of people have them higher. And I get it, Carson Wentz is back, but they've looked like shit. They have looked utterly dreadful through the first 3 weeks. I know they have 2 wins. That Atlanta game was super wonky. Atlanta's looked better the next 2 weeks. Atlanta essentially, they didn't deserve to win the game, but based on their performance the next 2 weeks, they're a better team than Philadelphia by a long stretch. And then this week, Indianapolis essentially should have won this game. I haven't liked anything I've seen. I mean, Carson Wentz is back. He's putting some stuff together. He's going to be better. And I guess the Buccaneers last week are a better team than we thought they were. But I have them here. They have the potential to move up. I just need to see it. They're going to be playing the Titans. Let's see what they can do against their defense. The Titans are. I mean, their defense is very good. Their offense is. Well, we'll talk about them. But let's see what they can do against the Titans defense, and we'll go from there. Let's get Carson Wentz a couple more weeks on his legs. Let's see how. I mean, he's a better quarterback than what he showed this past week. But they were able to pull out the dub, so congratulations. Number 19, those Tennessee Titans. They participated in one of the most boring games of the week. They played the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I had ranked last week number 2, but they played them to a 9-3 win. It looked like 2 rocks just beating on each other. Like if you ever watch, like, if you go to League of Legends or something like that and you watch tanks just beat on each other, it looked like that. 2 teams just beat, like their offense is just so weak. Their offense are so weak that it just looks like they're hitting each other with pool noodles. They're doing no damage to each other, but eventually one of them has to win. That's what it looked like. Looked like a pillow fight against a bunch of rocks. But, all right, number 18. The Cleveland Browns. I actually moved them down. They pulled out their first victory in over 600 days, but I still had them moved down. I had them at 16. They're now at 18. And this isn't so much. This is just kind of, I think, a market correction. We had some other teams that moved above them that probably should have been above them in the first place. But I liked them. They got the victory over the Jets, as we can see. The Jets aren't very good. I don't rate them very high, but it was good to see them pull out the W. It's good to see Baker Mayfield, and if Baker can do that again next week in a full game, I mean, they have the potential to move up, obviously. But right now they're 1-1-1. They have the Oakland Raiders coming up. They should be able to just womp on the Raiders. And then they're going to have the Ravens the week after. We'll see what they do against the Ravens. And we'll if they beat the Ravens, I mean they have some potential to move up. But all right. Number 17. The Chicago Bears. Now, this is another team that won, but still moved down. The Chicago Bears, they beat Arizona 16-14. But I am going to admit that I think that I was wrong. I underestimated how bad Mitch Trubisky actually is. He's miserable. It is a pathetic sight to see. They have all the weapons in the world with Jordan Howard and then Jordan Howard in the backfield, Allen Robinson in the deep. I mean that's not Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, but I mean it's still they're both elite at their position, and he can't do a damn thing. If they don't upgrade at the quarterback somehow, either by his improvement or by bringing somebody else in, they're not going to do anything this year. Even though Khalil Mack looks like an absolute monster. I mean, it is just it is impressive to watch. He's worth turning to. It's worth turning the Bears on just to watch him. Number 16, the Denver Broncos. We had Denver move down this week after a pretty sound beating from the Baltimore Ravens, 14-27. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Case Keenum. I'm not really liking what I see from him. I think he worked well in Minnesota with all those, with all the weapons they had in Minnesota and the ability to kind of freelance. I don't feel like the offense here in Denver really works as well. They have some really good running backs, young running backs. But their wideout core isn't that great. Demaryius Thomas is washed, and it seems like it is rough watching people drop balls like he does. But I mean, I have one bone to pick though with Phillip Lindsay. Phillip, my boy, I started you in fantasy. How you gonna go and punch somebody? You only got 2 points. I get that. I don't have that much of a problem. I get it. We don't have great days. But in the second quarter, you don't start punching people and get your ass thrown out of the damn game. That I have a problem with. That's my qualm. And I get it's my fault. I should have started Will Fuller. I would have won. But don't go start punching people. Stay in the game. You could have done something. Damn. All right. Number 15. The Los Angeles Chargers. Superchargers. Played Los Angeles this week. They played the Rams. They got beat. But I like what I see from them, essentially. I know Bosa just got announced. He's going to be out until week 8, most likely, or after week 8, after their bye week. But they're the type of team that seems to play to their competition. They're not as good as the Rams. Basically, no one is from a talent standpoint. But I like what I see. I mean, I think at 15 they have some good chance to do some damage. Just not against. They're not an elite team. Number 14, the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore coming in hot this week, putting the beating on Denver. It's 27-14. This team is something else. Joe Flacco lives on. I mean, they beat on Buffalo, and then the very next week they couldn't do much of anything. And now they come back and they beat Denver, one of our, I mean, Denver's got a good defense. They have a couple of running backs. They're wide out, wide. I mean, Denver's a solid team. Denver's a solid team. And so to come in there and get that 27-14 win, I was a little shook after last week against the Bengals, but I think Baltimore Ravens are gonna have some legs this year. Number 13, sorry. The 3-0 Miami Dolphins. Now, I know like a lot of other people have them in the top 10. They're 3-0. They're one of two 3-0 teams in the entire league. It's just them and the Chiefs. Oh, sorry, three teams. Them, the Chiefs, and the Rams. But in all honesty, they really haven't played that great a competition. They have 2 wins against the Jets and the Raiders, and they barely squeaked those out, both by 8 points. That's not barely, but the Raiders are horrible. And then they got a win against the Titans, which kudos to them for getting 27 points on the Titans. I don't know. We'll see. This week they play the Patriots in New England. We'll see what happens. I'll be impressed with them if they keep it close. Even if they beat them, obviously, but if they beat them or they keep it close, I'll probably even move them up if they lose this in a close margin. We're getting New England. We're getting to New England. All right, number 12. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Pittsburgh pulled off the upset this week. Pittsburgh went in and got the dub against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 2-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But they went and played. I mean, they went into Tampa Bay and beat them 30-27. I get it. Fitzpatrick looked a little shaky, but it's just I was impressed by the Steelers coming in there and getting that win after tying the Browns and losing against the Chiefs. This team's gonna struggle on defense. They have offensive weapons. Looks like they're gonna try to move Le'Veon Bell or sign him or something. But I like the Pittsburgh. I like them. I like them more. They have played nothing but quality competition. They're 1-1-1. They're playing the Ravens. I mean, they have a murderer's schedule. Ravens, Falcons, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Panthers, Jaguars, Broncos, Chargers, and then finally, week 13 they get to play, or it might be week 14, but their 13th game will be against the Raiders, and then they close it out: Patriots, Saints, Bengals. That's one cream puff the entire season. And the Raiders might have actually figured something out by then. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. I mean, that is brutal. So, I got them at number 12. Number 11, the Carolina Panthers. I moved them up a lot this week. I feel like I know they lost against I had them very low ranked because they lost against Falcons and they barely beat the Cowboys, and I think the Cowboys are awful. But they were able to go in. Cam Newton looked fantastic. Go in and get a win against the Bengals, who I think very highly of. So, little correction, brought them up to number 11. if Cam can keep being Superman, this team has a real chance to be good. So Carolina Panthers, number 11. Oh, and Christian McCaffrey, my God, ridiculous. 184 yards. Let's bring up that line real quick. He had 28 carries, 184 yards rushing, and then another 10 yards. He had 194 yards from the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's a beast, and they seem to know exactly what they're doing with him. So hats off. Number 10, those Atlanta Falcons, who apparently are not going to have a defense at all this year. But man, can they score. Had to have them right above the Panthers with them getting the dub over the Panthers. But Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman comes back this week. And then they also have, Mohamed Sanu. This team is going to put up points, and they're going to have to. That basically sums up the entire NFC South, which all managed, as you can see, to be in my top 11, with the Panthers coming in 11, Falcons at 10. But it seems like, I guess the Panthers have a defense, but Falcons, the Saints, and Buccaneers all don't. So it's going to be a high-scoring division. We're going to see some shootouts, maybe some overtime like we got from the Falcons. I mean, they lost against the Saints, but they only lost by they took them to overtime. And if Dan Quinn was better at managing the clock, they probably win this game. But that is part of it. It's part of having a coach that doesn't know exactly what they're doing. All right, number 9. The Green Bay Packers, the losing Green Bay Packers, who, I'm going to be honest, on defense, they just look lost. Like I said, I mean, I blame them more for this loss. I had them dropping down 4 slots. I had them in at number 5, I believe, last week. I got them dropping down 5 slots, or number 4, I guess, 5 slots, all the way down to number 9. I'm not out completely, but man, Rodgers looks hurt. That knee is done. It is done. So I pity Rodgers. I mean, they still have some really good weapons. Geronimo Allison looks good. Davante Adams looks good. They still have Randall Cobb. Jamal Williams, they could use a better running back, but they still have tools. They still have options. They still have Jimmy Graham in tight end. So they need to figure out defense and somehow protect Aaron Rodgers and his bum leg. This team goes as far as Aaron Rodgers can drag them with one leg. So we might see them drop over the next couple weeks. Number 8, the Cincinnati Bengals, losing to Carolina 21-31. I mean, I know they have Andy Dalton, but they still look good. I mean, they need Joe Mixon back. I probably should have had them lower last week, and maybe still, because without Joe Mixon, which that doesn't not something you exactly want to say, but without Joe Mixon, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle. So we'll see what happens. Number 7, we have the embarrassed Minnesota Vikings, who got waxed by our worst team, the Buffalo Bills. Just creamed 6-27. And this week they get to play the Los Angeles Rams, which is going to be just, I mean, it is either going to be the LA Rams just absolutely crushing the Minnesota Vikings, or it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings actually having some pride, coming out there, fighting hard, probably still losing, but getting a lot closer than we all think after that Buffalo performance. So, they still have an amazing offense. Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, and Calvin. God, and they have a great running back, and their defense just can't look as slow as it did against Buffalo. That's just not Dalvin Cook. There it is, not Calvin. Dalvin Cook. Couldn't think of it. I get it. Kirk Cousins doesn't scramble like Case Keenum. That's kind of why I like Case Keenum better in this position. But they still have so many tools. Their defense is still good. They just have to. I know people don't say it happens in the NFL. It's not talked about like it is in college, where teams overlook the opponent they're about to play against. But I think they got caught watching. They were looking forward. They knew that they were coming into a very hard opponent next week. They probably mentally were looking forward to the next week. And they got caught watching. And at the end of the day, these teams, despite Buffalo being a train wreck, they're still not that bad in comparison to. They're still an NFL team. So, still like them here at number 7. This Rams game will be truly telling. But then they get the Cardinals and the Jets, so they'll get a little bit of a rest against. They have the Eagles next week. Sorry, Rams then Eagles. So a couple of hard weeks. But number 6, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know people. I dropped them a little bit. They didn't show up again in the first half especially the second quarter, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I loved what I saw from them in the second half. I loved them coming back. I know they didn't win, but Fitzpatrick still got over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Mike Evans looks like a freaking boss this year. They need a running back. There's some rumors they might be going after Le'Veon Bell. That'd be insane. But what's his name? O.J. Howard, monster tight end. They still have Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans. This is their offense is fantastic. If they keep Ryan Fitzpatrick in, I put him here at number 6. All right, number 5, the New England Patriots. After an absolutely embarrassing loss to the Detroit Lions, this is. I know in Belichick people should trust that. Boston, I'm not a New England fan, but I'm just saying in Belichick they should trust. But man, what they're doing with their roster is just super fucking questionable. Why would you trade Brandon Cooks for a first round pick that you're gonna pick a running back, and then let Damian Amendola go? I get why you got rid of Dion Lewis, but if you're going to get rid of Dion Lewis and draft Sonny Michel, you have to keep Amendola, because you got rid of your best wide receiver, your deep threat. That doesn't. I know. They think they can string it together with anyone. Let's be honest. Brady is not Brady of 7 years ago. He's not the God carry that he was. He is still the golden boy. I get it. He's still a good quarterback, but he can't put your team on his legs and just be everything to them now. They need to put him. He needs better receivers. It's kind of like when Peyton Manning finally got his second. When he won his Super Bowl in Denver. Yeah, he made his plays. He didn't lose them the game, but he didn't win them the game. That game was won by the defense and Von Miller. That's why Von Miller was the MVP. Their defense desperately needs help. They just lost Rex Burkhead and another additional player on defense. They're number 5 for now, but they need some help. I have faith in Belichick to keep them relevant. Josh Gordon should be starting. They're going to have a new wide receiver, but getting rid of Brandon Cooks looks really questionable right about now. Honestly, what they should have done is just kept Brandon Cooks, paid and paid the 2 players. I mean, that would have given them the immediate dividends. And I don't know how many more years they're playing, or Belichick and Brady are planning on doing this. So, anyway, we'll see. Number 4, the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees looks amazing. He absolutely just looks stupendous. Michael Thomas is a beast of a wide receiver, and Alvin Kamara is an animal as a running back wide receiver combo. Their defense isn't that great, but will probably shape up. They have some nice players, but they can. But Drew Brees looks like a god. I mean, he looks like he has no problem carrying them to wins, even though he's old. He just doesn't look as old as Brady. So we got him at number 4. Maybe he should be number 3, but just based on the offense of our next. Because number 3 we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, coming off of a very sad game against Tennessee, a 6-9 loss, and it was kind of a market correction for their offense because their offense looked great against New England, whose defense is bad. But then they go against a real defense in Tennessee. And, I mean, Blake Bortles, good God. Like, what are you doing, bro? You have some weapons. I get it. Leonard Fournette's, he's out. But you still have Keenan Cole. You still have Austin Seferian-Jenkins. There's no excuse for you to get 2 field goals, and that's it. I mean, he needs some weapons. That's not his fault, but still. All right, number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. This is the best offense in football. Now, I do have one. I mean, you're gonna hear all the praise in the world for Patrick Mahomes. He looks amazing. He scrambles when he needs to. He drops passes on the dime. My one problem is the fact that they scored so few points in the second half. They went up 35-7 and scored 3 points for the rest of the game. Just a little. I like when teams step on the throat of the other team. Don't let them get back up off the ground. You go up 35-7 and they score, you put 2 touchdowns on them. Not 1, and definitely not 0, but 2. You say, okay, you want to keep playing? It's now 49-14. And it seemed like they could do whatever they wanted against San Francisco, but for some reason it just shut down. But we are going to get to see them actually play a good defense this upcoming week. Because they are going to play the Denver Broncos. And then after that, the week after that, they get the Jaguars. The week after that, the Patriots. Then the Bengals. Then the Broncos. Then the Browns. Right now, they still have a couple of nice wins. 49ers, sure, that wasn't great. Not a great win. But Chargers and Steelers. I mean, that's number 12 and number 15. And part of their power ranking is depressed by having lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. So, and I think the Chargers defense is okay. It needs, obviously it's missing Bosa, but we're gonna get to see him against the Broncos and then the Jags. So we'll learn a lot more about him in the next few weeks. But right now they are firm number 2. Their offense just is high flying. Tyreek Hill is a monster. Kareem Hunt getting a couple touchdowns. Travis Kelce looking like the best tight end in the game right now. So excellent stuff. And last but not least, our number 1 team, the Los Angeles Rams. They are the most complete team in football, pure and simple. Offense, defense, they have great players at almost every skill position. Right now a couple of their cornerbacks are out, but with Marcus Peters being out, but and Aqib Talib as well, but their offense is absolutely stacked. Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Todd Gurley, and Jared Goff looking much better this year. Looking just fantastic. Everyone thought he'd have some regression, but Sean McVay, and they have one of the best coaches in the entire league with Sean McVay. So this team absolutely stacked. They're going to play Minnesota this week. We're going to get to see them against our number 7 team. They look like they could go 14-2 at worst. I mean, that's saying something. When that's kind of your worst case scenario is 14-2. But I love what I saw from them this week. They played. I mean, they went into they played against the Chargers and knocked them straight out. I mean, there's not really. I really have nothing negative to say about the Los Angeles Rams. I guess except the fact that they're going to miss their 2 cornerbacks. Aqib Talib's out for the next 8 weeks. But I mean, fantastic. Anyway, that's the power rankings for this week. We'll see a couple of exciting matchups this Thursday, especially. Bunch of good games this upcoming week. I know people are playing. It's one of the weaker, but there's so many games that look exciting for me. I think Cincinnati, Atlanta looks fantastic. I really want to see what Tampa Bay can do against Chicago and their defense. I always when I think a team might be good, I'm always excited to see them. Like I want to see more Indianapolis. I'd like to see Indianapolis play against a crappy team just to see what they can do. Because if they show up against Houston, they can't do anything. Then we now know that it's kind of all a mirage. Now that doesn't mean much if they beat on Houston, but it means more than if they don't, I guess. Miami, New England will be interesting. I mean, if New England loses this game, Miami's going to be 4-0, and New England will be 1-3. That's like major red alert for the New England Patriots being 1-3. So expect New England to come out firing, but they just might not have it this year. We'll find out. Pittsburgh. I think people are selling far too much on the AFC North. Very interested to watch Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and then Kansas City Denver is also going to be a great game. So those are my matchups for this week. There's still a lot of good football to watch, but we will be back next week with the power rankings updated. Hopefully on Tuesday I can get it all put together. I had a busy week this week, but we'll get the power rankings hopefully next Tuesday prior to the regular stream. But if you're here with me in Twitch, we'll do a little Q&A after the basically right now after we sign off on the pod. And I thank everybody for coming here. Thank you, Anchor Boy. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream, man. And we'll be doing more power rankings next week for week 4. But catch us on Twitter. I'll be posting the graphic on Twitter. If you have any if you have any feelings about everything, let me know. If you think the Rams should be number 7 and Green Bay should be number 1, I don't know. However you're feeling. But thank you again for listening. I'll catch you next Monday. Or next Tuesday. Peace.